An anime director, Mr. Ogata, who believes his works are prophecies brought to life to warn humanity, calls a meeting with his crew members to discuss the newest story in December 1969. Ogata narrates that, in the beginning, the world was ruled by old gods, but after mankind rebelled against them, they managed to imprison these gods deep beneath the earth with magic. He also went on to mention that at the end of the millennium, this magic will weaken, and if these old gods are released, mankind will be doomed. Ano o kantoku. Ima no wa. However, Ogata mentions that only the unlikeliest heroes in the unlikeliest of places will be able to save mankind. After Ogata was done delivering the story, a crew member asks if the story is for his latest movie. This angers Ogata, who warns that it is a prophecy. He also warns that the film has to be made for the world to see, in order for the prophecy to come true. Another crew member then points out the absurd title of the movie, which Ogata replies to by making the title even more ridiculous. Shva. He then yells at them to get to work on making the anime. The anime took about 3 years before production and soon aired in Tokyo. Unfortunately, the show didn't really have much engagement. With the poor performance, Ogata's studio goes bankrupt, and he himself is said to have gone into exile. Following the bankruptcy, all of Ogata's films were stored at a warehouse. Unfortunately, the warehouse gets attacked by a cult group known as the Children of the Old Gods, who believe that Ogata's film was made to thwart their plans. Yoinda. Alloy. Somehow, a copy of Ogata's film was saved from the burning warehouse. A few years passed, and the copy of the film that was saved is adopted into a CD and put up for sale in the black market. Later, this CD is bought and shipped to a guy named Sean Gunderson in Oklahoma, USA. This takes us to December 1999 in Oklahoma, where Sean lives with his father, Wayne. One morning, Wayne calls Sean to tell him his friend Vic has arrived to pick him up for school. Sean then rushes out of the house, stopping at the entrance when he notices his package has arrived. Sean then takes the package and joins Vic in his car. When Sean opens the package, Vic is visibly irritated, as it is not the anime he expected to see. Okay. You do know she's a girl, right, Sean? Sean then explains to him how it was a masterpiece of Ogata that was lost in a warehouse fire, yet he was lucky to get it. To make things worse for Vic, Sean claims he wants to watch the show with their new exchange student, who happens to be a Japanese girl who will be staying with Vic's family. Vic tries to talk him down on the idea, but Sean's mind is made up. With no choice, Vic drives off to school. Gauntiles has Gike. On arriving at school, the duo is shoved aside by Hunter. He then picks on Sean, who quietly takes the insults from him. Fed up with his attitude, Vic steps in and fires back at Hunter. This upsets Hunter, so he tries to pick a fight with Vic. Luckily for Vic, a teacher who's passing by saves him from becoming a punching bag. Later, during class, while the teacher is delivering a lecture on religion, Vic is busy staring at Bethany, his long-time crush. Distracted by her beauty, he fails to provide the right answer to a question directed at him, thus embarrassing himself. And you name one of the Beatitudes. After school, Vic follows Sean back home. While in Sean's room, the two of them get into a small argument about being a kaiju, which is Japanese for monster, or a mecha, which in most animes are the good guys who shoot lasers and take down the bad guys. Sean is on Team Mecha, while Vic is on Team Kaiju. Later that evening, they head to the airport where Vic's sisters are waiting for the Japanese exchange student, Mickey. Mickey, on the other hand, is an awkward girl with a fascination for the Native Americans, and she came to Oklahoma solely to find them and herself. When she arrives, Vic's sister, Sunita, waves her over, and, "Hi, I'm Sunitha." Mickey then introduces herself in English to the best of her capabilities. Sunita and Sean welcome her wholeheartedly, with Sean showing off his Japanese-speaking skills, while Preeti wonders why anyone would choose Oklahoma and specifically ask to live with an Indian family. Yes, well, welcome to Oklahoma. After exchanging warm welcomes, Mickey is taken back to the house. At the house, Sunita directs her to her room, where she sees a small statue of an Indian god. But before she can process her thoughts, Sean and Vic storm into the room to invite Mickey to Vic's room, which he claims has a lot of Japanese stuff in it. In Vic's room, Sean tries to show off his karate skills but ends up freaking Mickey out. Mickey then notices the anime Sean was talking about earlier this morning. As much as Vic hates the idea, they end up watching the anime after all. A few minutes into the show, Mickey falls asleep, as Vic expected. Today on Key. As the show continues, the boys suddenly get interested. It features a kaiju and a mecha fighting, and then, some hours into the movie, a scene is displayed where the heroine is tied to a stick to be used as an offering to the old gods. Sean picks up a particular statement that says, "A blood from a hero's sacrifice," and just then, Mickey wakes up, and just as the show is about to hit climax, the TV scrambles. Sean tries to get it working again, but the trio are zapped by some kind of magic field and knocked out cold. Whoosh. The heroine's voice then announces the beginning of the end. The following morning marks the countdown for the end of the world, which is revealed to be 8 days away. Mickey wakes up, then wakes the boys up just before Preeti walks in, accusing Vic of blowing up the TV. Sunita then walks in yelling and tells Vic he has to clean up the mess after school. At school, Mickey is introduced to her classmates, after which Bethany asks Mickey why she chose to come to Oklahoma. "Come on, let's get those hands up." Mickey then reveals that it is because Oklahoma is home to many Native American citizens, which is why she asked for an Indian home. That's when Vic and their teacher realize that there has been a small mix-up. Apparently, Mickey was referring to Native Americans the whole time, not Vic's nativity. After classes, Sean tries to comfort Vic and explains that it's easy to mix up the spelling of Indo and Indian and Japanese. Hunter then shows up again to bully the boys. Mickey then stops him and calls him out for being rude. Vic also throws an insult, which is unfortunately heard by their teacher, and he earns himself a detention. After leaving with the teacher, Sean invites Mickey to come with him to his karate class. Me. Sant. During the karate practice, the karate instructor, Mr. Newt, tells the students he has a skill he would like to demonstrate with a volunteer. Despite everyone else raising their hands up, Newt picks Sean to do the demonstration. However, when he executes the skill, Mickey rushes out of the room and into Newt's office. While in the office, she meets a fellow Japanese woman, Reiko, who also happens to be Newt's wife. The two exchange pleasantries, and then Reiko asks if she's okay. Mickey admits that violence upsets her and makes her have hiccups she can't control. Reiko then offers her some sweets to help calm her down. Arigatou gozaimasu. Mickey wants to know more about Reiko, so she makes small talk by asking if Reiko is from Oklahoma. However, Reiko tells her that she met Newt when he was in the Navy, and the next thing she knew, she married him and moved to Oklahoma with him. Mickey, on the other hand, tells Reiko that she wants to meet the Indians. After she has calmed down, Mickey returns to the training section with Reiko. Newt, on the other hand, is just finishing the class with his students. He meets Mickey and offers to show her their bonsai collection, taking her back into the office. A welcome to Tamashi Dojo. Kerda. Sean, who now has to wait for Mickey, then walks up to the mirror, trying to replicate the new skill Newt had just taught them. He takes the form and strikes, but suddenly, lasers shoot from his palm and at the mirror, startling him. Meanwhile, at detention, Vic is listening to music and admiring Bethany as usual, but suddenly, the teacher gets a call and has to step out. On his departure, Hunter grabs a frisbee and tosses it at Vic. Vic, however, dodges, causing the frisbee to hit Bethany instead. Bethany then takes the frisbee and tosses it over a shelf by her left. Hunter then climbs to get it down, but his weight starts pulling the shelf over. Bethany notices and quickly rushes out of the way while Vic suddenly dives into the scene, catching Hunter with one arm and supporting the shelf with the other. Bethany then finally notices him. Meanwhile, far away in a cult gathering for the children of the old gods, the members circle around a symbol made on the ground, plotting the return of the old gods. The next day, which marks 7 days till the end of the world, Sean is pacing about in a field when Vic arrives, complaining that Sean is taking up his holiday. Sean freaks out, saying he is late and that he needs to see what's happening. He then rolls up his sleeves and repeats the skill Newt had taught the previous day, but this time, nothing happens. "He woke me up early, man. I don't get it." Vic is initially disappointed watching Sean try, until, accidentally, it happens again. But then Vic also proceeds to show Sean what he can now do. He takes a backflip and lands a couple of meters away from Sean. Sean then rushes up to him, suggesting that the film did something to them. But while Sean is freaking out, Vic seems to be taking things well and enjoying his newfound powers. "Gotta figure out what's happened to us." Dude, chill. Sean then reminds Vic that whenever people gain powers in movies, it always comes with a world-ending situation. However, Vic isn't convinced enough and points out to Sean that nothing happens in Oklahoma. Later that evening, while Sean is helping his father make dinner, the news in the background talks about multiple arson attacks caused by a cult called the Children of the Old God. Wayne complains, saying people should just put an end to the end of the world drama. He then grabs the plates and asks asks Sean to put the chicken in the oven while he sets the table. Sean does as he is told, but when he tries to switch on the oven, he accidentally zaps the control with his powers. He turns it on anyway without checking. Later, Mickey and Vic arrive for the Christmas dinner. Wayne tells Mickey to make herself comfortable, and then he grabs Vic to the kitchen to help out. As they sit at the table, Sean then asks Mickey if she's feeling weird after watching that anime, but before she can answer, Wayne joins them and tells the boys to go grab the chicken. While they're at it, Mickey asks Wayne where she can find the Indians. Wayne, oblivious to her naivety, tells her that she can find Indians in casinos. Back in the kitchen, the boys realize that the chicken has not been cooking this whole time. Vic suggests that Sean uses his laser to cook it immediately, but Sean is worried he'll blow the place up. When Wayne asks how it's going, Sean panics and actually does it. Thankfully, it works out just fine. Alright, let's get fat. However, Sean's hand immediately morphs into those of the mecha from the anime. Just then, Wayne walks in, but Sean is able to hide it immediately. When Sean returns to the dining with the casserole, Wayne notices his hands are in mittens and covered with towels. He asks Sean if his hands are cold and yanks the mittens off. Mickey immediately recognizes that it's from the anime, but Wayne waves it off as a cosplay. 2 days later, which marks 5 days until the end of the world, Sean is still stuck with the mecha hands. And even more, he realizes that his whole body is slowly changing into the mecha. He goes back to his room to do his research on the Anike to understand what's happening to him. Meanwhile, Vic wakes up and goes to the bathroom, where he notices his body has become toned. Despite not knowing what the interior of a gym looks like. Later, Vic goes to Mickey's room to say hi when he notices her making art from the Native American culture while listening to music. He then offers to take her to see the Indians, which makes Mickey very excited. The duo then heads to the museum where there are lots of things to represent the culture. Unfortunately, Mickey also sees a war painting of the Indians, which instantly kills her mood. Vic asks her what the matter is, and Mickey tells him that Indian people are no more. Vic then admits that most of them are gone, which causes Mickey to have hiccups. She excuses herself, and just as she leaves, Vic gets a call. Surprisingly, Bethany is on the phone asking if they could hang out. Vic instantly drops all he's doing for the rest of the day and heads to the meeting point with Bethany. While he is waiting, Sean calls him, saying he's freaking out and needs help. Sadly, Vic tells him he's a smart kid and that he needs to figure it out himself. Before Sean can say another word, Bethany shows up, and Vic hangs up on Sean. Bethany takes Vic to a wall where they both spray paint the walls with the sentence, "The end is nigh." Afterward, they take a seat to rest, and Bethany compliments Vic that he's actually cool. She wants to know why he always hangs out around Sean. What a mean rumor. Whom she regards as a loser, and Vic tells her that they study together. Bethany then tells Vic that Sean really brings him down. By evening, Sean is still in the skies, trying to stir himself, but just as he starts to get the hang of it, a bird bumps into him, knocking him into the ritual site of the same cult group from the anime and the news. The cult members try to attack him, but he quickly takes off again. Days later, Sean tries to explain to Vic that this is more than they thought. He tells Vic about the cult group, saying they were digging up something just like in the anime. He also points out that the prophecy could be true and tries to get Vic to understand, but Vic is becoming more and more nonchalant toward the whole situation. Sean realizes and points out that he's turning into a mecha from a movie, while Vic is slowly turning into a kaiju. However, Vic still doesn't see the problem there, prompting Sean to remind him that Mecha fights kaiju, and that the cult members would also need a sacrifice to awaken the old gods. Sean then tries to piece it together so they can understand what's happening, but Vic cuts him off. Vic tells Sean that he does not care if they're turning into anything, and that he just wants to date Bethany. This is distracting us, it doesn't matter. He then reminds them that they're both losers and excludes himself, saying he was, but not anymore. Sean admits to being a loser, but still pleads with Vic for help, saying no one cares about stuff like this but them. Vic, however, corrects him, saying that only Sean cares about everything anime. He claims he only liked it because Sean was. He tells Sean he wants to be his own person, and when Sean still insists on the anime case, Sean yells at him to stop dragging him down. Sean is taken aback by this statement, but they're interrupted by Preeti. Preeti tells them that Mickey got upset that they were arguing, so she lent Mickey her bike, and now Mickey is out of the house. Meanwhile, Mickey takes the bike to the casino where she expects to meet the Indian she's been dying to meet, but ends up with a regular casino and a huge disappointment. While feeling so lost, Reiko suddenly shows up. Later, the two ladies are seated by the bar. Reiko tells Mickey that Newt's Indian relatives own the place while she takes care of the business affairs. She then asks Mickey why she wants to meet the Indians so badly. Senzin sozo to chikemashna. Mickey tells her she felt like she didn't know who she was and didn't know what to do, since she always had to do what others tells her to. She also explains that she wanted to fix her problem, and that's when she discovered the Indians who came of age by hunting and had a vision for their future. Mickey terms it a vision quest and thinks that if she could meet the Indians, she could find her path, thus fixing her problems. However, Mickey thinks she has failed already. Reiko, on the other hand, doesn't agree. She reminds Mickey that coming to Oklahoma was solely her choice and that no one told her to do it. Reiko also tells her that she doesn't need anyone else since she's special, which comforts Mickey. After that, Mickey heads out of the casino. While walking down the road, she hears a loud thud and turns around to find Sean. He runs up to her saying he is worried about her, which surprises Mickey that someone at least cares about her. Sean then offers her a ride home, and the next thing, Wayne is helping Mickey load her bike into the back of his truck. Mickey thanks Wayne, but Wayne tells her he's happy to help, especially since his mom passed away. Especially because Sean doesn't have many friends. He explains to Mickey that it's been hard for Sean ever since his mom passed away, and even though he's trying his best as a father, sometimes he doesn't know his own son, but Mickey assures him that Sean is a good boy. Back at the cult site, the members discuss how the heroes are discovering their powers and need to be destroyed. However, a member suggests that they make them destroy each other instead. Meanwhile, at Vic's house, Vic gets into an argument with his sister because of Bethany. Sunita wants him to go with them to Preeti's recital, but Vic wants to hang out with Bethany. The quarrel ends with Sunita and Preeti leaving without Vic anyway. On the other hand, Sean goes to see Newt, saying he doesn't have anyone else to whom he can turn. He enlightens Newt about the anime, and Newt explains that Ogata was talking about a prophecy that would lead to the end of the new millennium. However, for the hero to be born, he would need to watch the anime. Sean then tells him that it doesn't make sense since the anime didn't have an ending. Newt then tells him that the monster will destroy the world unless the hero slays him. At Vic's home, Vic is throwing a really crazy party with loud music. Mickey, on the other hand, is fast asleep when she starts hearing all the ruckus. She steps out to find out what's happening and runs into Bethany, who tries to coerce her into letting herself loose. Is it this bad? And hands you. However, Mickey tells her that she doesn't understand her and that she likes Oklahoma. Bethany then tells Mickey that she really is special. Back in Newt's place, he and Sean are sparring together while Newt gives him words of advice. After the pep talk, it dawns on Sean that the hero's sacrifice in the anime was a girl. So, since he's the mecha and Vic's the kaiju, Mickey is the heroine. He then rushes out of the building into a payphone to call Vic, but there's no answer. After realizing that Mickey might be in danger, he takes off. In a full mecha mode, Sean shows up looking for Vic and Mickey at Vic's place. He notices people staring at him weirdly and soon realizes that it's because of how he looks. Meanwhile, Vic and Bethany are hanging out in Vic's room when suddenly, Vic transforms into full kaiju mode. As Bethany runs out in fear, Vic hears Sean calling him. Enraged, Vic storms into the living room, scaring everyone at the party away. He blames Sean for what's happening to him and tries to attack him, but Sean flies off. When Vic chases after him, Bethany gets a call from someone who informs her that things are happening as predicted, and then some. The next day, marking one day until the end of the world, Mickey goes to an open field, sets up a camp, and dresses herself as an Indian girl. She then sets fire to the wood and kneels before it. Later, she falls asleep. That night, Sean calls Vic and asks to meet up. Vic tells him not to chicken out like last time and heads out to meet him. At the meeting place, Sean is a no-show, or at least he's in hiding, until Vic tells him he can smell him. Sean then emerges from behind a tree and apologizes for making them watch the anime. Vic, however, tells him that it's not about the anime. Sean then tells Vic that he's a monster and someone has to stop him, but Vic calls him out for being a coward, which Sean responds to violently, and a fight breaks out. The two battle for a while. When Vic suddenly grows a pair of wings, they then take the battle to the skies. The fight ends with Sean blasting a laser through Vic, sending him into the lake nearby. Sean is devastated by the outcome, but loses consciousness almost immediately. The next day, on the D-Day of world destruction, Mickey wakes up with the realization that Sean cared for her this whole time, but she didn't see it. Unknown to her, she is about to be ambushed. Meanwhile, Sean returns home through his window, alerting his father. Wayne goes to check if Sean is okay, but Sean quickly grabs the door handle to keep it from opening. Maybe now's not a good time. Wayne decides to leave him alone, but suddenly he musters up the courage and advises Sean about how he has to be his own person. He tells Sean that his mom would be really proud of him if she were around. After talking, Sean tries to open the door to talk to Wayne, but he suddenly remembers that Mickey could be in danger and flies out the window. At the ritual site, Mickey is tied to a log, just like in the anime. The cult members all light their scythe and start making their way towards Mickey. One of the members then takes off their hood to reveal Mrs. Reiko. Mickey feels betrayed, but Reiko tells her that everything will be fine. She repeats that she knew Mickey was special the moment they met, and that her coming to Oklahoma was no coincidence. Reiko also asks her why the Indians came here for vision quests, and goes ahead to answer, saying it is because they were guarding the magic on these grounds, and that magic is supposedly what is imprisoning the old gods. Reiko also explains what the world has turned into because of mankind. She believes that the absence of the old gods is what plunged mankind into genocide, war, and pollution, among other things. When Mickey asks what all this has to do with her, Reiko tells her that she came with a pure mind and body, and that she's ready to be a hero. Heal Hinarerdayo. Mickey pleads with her not to do this, but Reiko goes ahead and chants to the gods to accept Mickey as the hero's sacrifice while lifting her sai. Thankfully, Sean lands right in front of Mickey, ready to engage them in battle, when another member calls to him and takes off his hood to reveal Mr. Newt. Sean is shocked to see the familiar face, while Newt is happy he survived. It turns out they've been aware of everything this whole time and thought Sean would lose the fight to Vic. Newt tries to convince Sean that helping them release the old gods will make him less of a loser. He also reveals that their people destroyed the warehouse back then, and the ending of the movie to avoid showing people how to defeat the old gods, but he believes that with Sean's help, nothing can stop them now. Sean, however, points out that they made him waste his best friend. Therefore, he doesn't wish to be part of their world. Left with no choice, the cult members then decide to engage Sean in a fight, but just then, Vic shows up and crashes into the group, knocking them out. He reconciles with Sean and admits he was being a jerk, so they team up and cut Mickey loose. The cult members soon awake and engage Sean and Vic in battle. Just then, another member reveals their face, and turns out to be Bethany, who is disappointed in Vic for helping them. "Why are you helping me?" Vic tells her he's doing it because they are his friends, and in the process, lets his guard down. Bethany then stabs Vic. The last battle comes down to Newt and Sean, with Sean emerging as the victor after using Newt's own skills against him. Newt then asks him to finish him off, but Sean refuses, and offers him a hand instead. Newt then tries to get Reiko to find another way. Reiko tells him there's another way, and tries to stab Sean, but Newt gets in the way. Reiko freaks out, but it is already too late. Newt falls to the ground with his blood slowly dripping into the dug hole, causing small reactions. Unaware of this, Reiko tries to attack them, but Mickey stands in her way to try to talk her out of it. Sadly, Reiko's mind is made up, and she strikes Mickey with her sword. However, Mickey finally transforms into her full power mode. Bethany goes after her, regardless, and gets turned into bubbles, sending a warning to the others. As the cult members run off in fear, Mickey celebrates their victory, but that's when they all realize that the hero's blood doesn't matter who it is, but the self-sacrifice that is made. And with that, Newt's blood activates the ritual. With the old gods free, Reiko offers herself up as a humble servant to the gods, leaving the trio to their fate. Vic then tells Sean that whether he's a kaiju or not, he's happy to die with his friends together. And just then, a thought hits Sean. He realizes that they will need a combined effort to defeat the gods. The three of them then put their hands in, and chants transform, turning them into one giant mecha warrior. As the battle goes on, people around the world are busy counting down to the new year, and when the time is up, a massive explosion happens, defeating the gods. On January 1st, 2000, Mickey, Sean, and Vic wake up in their original bodies, all unharmed. Vic and Mickey return to meet Sunita and Preeti, who are worried about their whereabouts. Sean goes home to see some detectives with his father, who is also looking for him. Days later, Sean and Vic accompany Mickey to the airport, where they bid her goodbye. So Krian Nuotoroneba. After returning to Japan, Mickey writes a letter and addresses it to Mr. Ogata to appreciate the good his film did for her in her life, and the friends she met because of it. She also acknowledges that his film helped her to find her path in life, and at the foot of the letter, she writes her name and that of Sean and Vic, with little drawings of the three heroes from the anime. Mr. Ogata may have gone into exile, but somehow, Mickey's letter found its way to his mailbox after that. When Ogata reads it, he is proud and decides to make the sequel. For Sean and Vic, what started out as a crazy fantasy to live out their favorite anime characters became one heck of an adventure. But for Mickey, it was about finding herself and what she really wanted in life. But with Ogata talking about a sequel, who's to say their story is over?